you are teaching your child how to read, don't overlook the importance of handwriting. Handwriting is so crucial when it comes to learning letters and sounds, and of course for spelling. And this is an area that we want to focus on with our little ones so that we can teach them correctly from the start. I have seen time and time again students who struggle with letter formation or with pencil grasp because they didn't learn how to write their letters correctly from the beginning. And this can be really frustrating for them. It slows them down in their writing, and it can be really frustrating for their families and for their teachers as well. So we want to make sure that we are teaching our little ones correct handwriting from the beginning. Now, in case you don't know me, my name is Erin. I'm from littleslovelearning.com. I'm a former classroom teacher. I'm also a tutor, and I love to help little ones learn how to read and to spell correctly. And I love to share what I know with you, these tips and tricks so that you can teach your little one correctly at home. Whether that's at home because you're a parent, or if you are a teacher watching this, then you can take these tips back to your classroom. But today's tip is going to be all about handwriting. I'm going to show you how I like to teach my little ones those circle letters, which I call 2 o'clock letters. And so hopefully this tip is something that you can use with your little one at home so that you can help them with proper handwriting from the beginning. Now, when we look at the alphabet and we look at our letters, some of our letters are what we call tall letters. So for example, lowercase letter B and lowercase letter H. And the reason we call them tall letters is because they start at the top of the line and the student has to bring their pencil down to create that letter, that straight line down. Now, those letters are usually not as tricky for our little ones, especially if we can break them of that habit from going from the bottom to the top, which a lot of little ones have, so we don't want that. But we want them to pull their letter down from the top down. They're not usually as tricky just because it's the straight line down. But today, I wanted to focus on letters that are a little bit trickier, and those letters are what we call our circle letters. So these are the letters right here, A, C, D, G, O, and Q, and these are the letters that our students have to form by sort of making a circle. I guess C doesn't go quite into a circle, but we're making this circle shape. And the reason that that is tricky is because they're not just starting at the top of the line and coming straight down. They actually have to start at what I like to call 2 o'clock. So let me show you my clock, my super fancy clock that I just made on the back of an Avengers plate. This is my clock that I use for handwriting instruction. So this is 2 o'clock on our clock. This is where we want our little ones to start when they are forming those circle letters. We want them to start at 2 o'clock. And we want them to go backwards around the clock. That's the motion that we need them to master for all of those letters I just showed you. We need them to go backwards around the clock. This, for some reason, is very, very tricky for kids. A lot of kids will start at like a 7 o'clock, and they're gonna go this way when they're making their circle letters, or they're gonna start at 12 o'clock and they're gonna make their circle, but then that is really tricky to come down to make the A or the Q. So we want to get them in that habit of starting at 2 o'clock. It's a little bit below the line, which I think is also why it's tricky because they have to start in space. They don't have a line to anchor them the way they do those tall letters where they can just pull the line down. They have to start at 2 o'clock. So what I like to do is when I'm teaching these letters, I teach them all together if I can for this letter formation, and we practice our 2 o'clock letters. That's what I call them. And so I always have my clock out and available. And when they're writing, I say, okay, start at 2 o'clock, go backwards around the clock. And that is gonna help them get that correct formation for all of these letters. Even for letter C, they just don't connect it. Start at 2 o'clock, go backwards around the clock. Start at 2 o'clock, go backwards around the clock. I like this for letter D because if I can teach my students letter D as a 2 o'clock letter and then it goes backwards around the clock, C turns into a D. That's going to be really helpful for them to distinguish between the letter B and the letter D since those are tricky. So same with G, start at 2 o'clock, go backwards around the clock. Start at 2 o'clock for letter O and of course for Q. So all of these letters, I'm starting in the same spot. I'm starting at 2 o'clock and I'm going backwards around the clock. So I take this with me to all of my tutoring sessions. I take it with me to class if I am teaching. And I want my little ones to visualize this. So when they're looking at their board, I want them to be able to put their marker down and know that they need to come back up and around. back up and around, my 2 o'clock letters. So I hope that this tip was helpful for you if you have never heard it before. I want to make sure that writing instruction is something that you are focusing on. If you are a parent at home and you see your child is not forming the letters correctly, it is so crucial for you to help your child to form it correctly. I will tell you, as a former classroom teacher and as a long-term substitute, it is so tricky when you have 19, 20, 21 students in your class or more, and you are doing handwriting instruction, to go around and watch the way each of those children is forming their letters. It's near impossible for one adult to do that. Not all teachers have aides or parent volunteers, so if they are the only adult in the classroom, they're not going to be able to see every letter formation of every child. So that's where parents come in, parents like you. It is so crucial that you are watching the way your child forms these letters at home and you are helping them form their letters correctly. You can easily make a clock like this. You don't have to pay for anything. Just take an old plate and draw a clock face on it, and you can help them practice that motion. It's one motion, starting at 2 o'clock and going backwards around the clock, that one motion. Even just helping them master the 2 o'clock letters, they've already mastered so many of the lowercase letters, and especially the tricky ones. These are the ones that can get flipped around, they can look really funky. So if you can help them master the 2 o'clock letters, you are on the right track. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment down below, or you can find me on my website, littleslovelearning.com. I'd love to help you and support you in teaching your child how to read and write correctly from day one, so that they can be a lifelong lover of reading and spelling, and they're going to be really feeling confident in themselves. Until the next video, I hope you have a wonderful day.